Have this breaking story from the UK's Health Secretary, which is essentially like their health minister. That's what we
Oh,
would have here in
right.
Canada,
Right.
Matt Hancock. And
Yeah.
so he was recently busted for having WhatsApp communication, asking, and I think if we can pull up, I believe it was the Daily Mail article.
Hmm.
Yeah, where he discussed deploying a new virus variant to essentially terrorize the public into complying with whatever the government wants them to do and modify their behavior. And so I won't go through this whole article here, but if you're familiar with some of our reporting, and I've done a few stories on this, it really reinforces that the
Hmm.
COVID madness and the hysteria that ensued was an exercise in behavior modification
Absolutely. Hmm.
technique utilizing industrial strength mind control techniques. So, like we already mentioned, the lockdowns, the social isolation, using loaded language. So, like 2 weeks
Hmm.
to flatten the curve, stay home, save lives, the new normal. All of these slogans that were repeated incessantly
Hmm.
are part of a psyop, a psychological operation. And so we have now more and more mounting information that proves that the health cartel essentially conducted a psyop on the population to nudge their compliance with whatever it was that the government wanted them to do and or how they wanted them to behave. Um,
Well, yeah, Matt Hancock saying, when do we get to frighten the pants off the citizens with the next variant? This is nuts. That's what we were living through over and over. Each wave, oh, it's this wave. We never talked like that about any flu before. We never, every time it was a variant, did we talk about it, but it was so effective at keeping people in line. And that's what it was. We lived through the biggest unethical
mhm.
experiment of all times, and it's still going. And information like this, the reason why it got as far as it was is because of the state-backed legacy media. If they would just let everybody know that information we just saw in that article, if everybody reported on it, this type of stuff would have been shut down immediately. But because
Yeah.
they too are in cahoots with everybody, then it keeps on running. This is a
Mhm.
really huge story.
It is. And, something that I was discussing at least as far back as June 2022, I just put a clip there in our channel. If Olivia could pull it up, it's of Teresa Tam, our health overlord. So, like, basically our version of Matt Hancock,
Mm-hmm.
our chief medical officer of health, who was sitting at a World Health Organization's assembly called Behavior Science for Better Health. And she's
Oh
literally
dear.
just so it's a
Wow.
strategic roundtable, and she's literally discussing these nudges that they will put on the population to nudge them toward healthy behavior and reward them with badges. Like have a listen. This is from
Yeah.
the horse's mouth.
Evaluation and science, I think it's important when applications are being stood up that there is an actual integrated evaluation and research aspect to them. Otherwise, you have no idea whether they work or they don't work. Coming back to work. Coming back to
Oh, we're having
coming
some
back to
technical difficulties with the clip here. Anyway, you can go back and find, I did a full
Yeah.
report on that. You can find some of my clips. Maybe I'll just retweet that one. And then anybody who's joining us and wants to see it for themselves, you can head on over to my Twitter at Tamara Ugo and check it out for yourself. But we also have a quick clip, and we're running tight on time here because we're going to get Menzies in at 1:45.
Yes.
But we
All
have the
right.
CEO of Moderna admitting, and again, looks like the conspiracy theorists are up like 100 points to none
Oh
because
gosh.
they've been saying this for so long.
The
Moderna
champions.
is admitting that they were researching and had already developed COVID-19 vaccines in 2019.
I think I knew
And
that.
I'm going to go with Stefan Bansal. Let's talk about vaccine development, because we've heard how it happened, obviously, with COVID-19 starting from 2022 and how extraordinary the process was also in terms of the speed. How is development, adoption and scaling of vaccine going on when it comes to different variants and subvariants? Because this is one of the big concerns as we're all here now and we're discussing, we understand the context, and this is a great deal.
Sure. Well, good morning, and thank you for having me on the panel. So the great news versus 2020, where we are today, is we have manufacturing capacity. As Seth knows, when the pandemic happened, Moderna had made 100,000 doses in 2019 for the whole year. And I remember walking after Davos into the office of my head of manufacturing, and I say, how will we make 1 billion doses next year? And you look at me a bit funny, say, what? I say, yeah, we need to make 1 billion doses next year. There's going to be a pandemic.
So they made $1 billion at everybody else's expense, and now any injuries that ensue as a result are taxpayer funded. Well, the billionaires get to ride off into the sunset.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.